Salute, Knicks Nation. Let's talk about this game. The New York Knicks drop game 3, MSG. Disappointing game. Let's break it down. 93 115. The Boston Celtics came into the Garden as they did all season and put up a show. Rain threes. The New York Knicks defense was lackluster in this one. The energy just didn't seem to be with the squad. I'm still really confused. Not surprised, but confused still. I would have felt that there would have been a lot more energy to start, but the Celtics executed early. The Knicks got into a hole, made a couple little runs here and there, but some turnovers, sort of halted the cause. And Brunson was sloppy in this one. Knicks committed 11 turnovers, only shot 40% from the field, 20% from downtown, and the Boston Celtics shoot 50% from downtown. Second chance points were split even. The Celtics fast break points, 18-8, was a killer. But yeah, it's all about the energy, no flow. Early on, you can kind of tell from the first possession, as all of our diehards in the building, you just feel that energy if it's there, if it's not. Um, I hope they've got more left in the tank. I really do, because this is a series. I'm not sitting here thinking that the Celtics are going to run away with this. It's definitely a series, 2-1. The Knicks need to come out and put forth their best game in game 4. It's been slow starts every single game. It's been down 20 every single game. Tonight, down 30. A couple of calls didn't go our way, but you got to be prepared to fight. Fight for the squad, fight for the crowd, fight for the city, and they didn't show that fight in this one. There's some eerily similarities to the Detroit series where they just didn't come with that energy in MSG, but for some reason they showed that fight, that focus on the road. And I feel like, we've watched this team all season, guys, and I feel like this team is showing that they are gritty on the road. They're focused. They're a lot more, robust on the road. At MSG, I just don't know what it is right now. They've been soft. They've been coming out tentative, I think is the right word. Tentative, passing up some open looks. Brunson needed to sort of be a bit more aggressive, I think, collapsing the D. And the New York Knicks just weren't making their defense work. There's one thing you can control, which is offense. Get into a rhythm early, get some execution going, get the ball up the court fast, right? Defensively, the Knicks were bad tonight. I don't know why they abandoned the game plan in the first half. They weren't switching effective enough. Too many breakdowns. And that's where things sort of spiraled. If you're not hitting shots, but then on the other side, Boston start hitting shots off breakdowns. I really felt most of Boston's buckets, especially to start the game, came off breakdowns. Cat just didn't seem focused, didn't have the energy. OG Anunoby looked really gassed. I am a bit more worried about OG, as the series progresses, because I know he emptied the clip, in game 2 in Boston. I feel like OG Anunoby, he did look really gassed at the end of game 2. And obviously everyone was, over the moon that we pulled it out. But I did look at OG. He was stooped over in game 2. Tonight, he just didn't seem like he had any energy. 2 points, minus 25. But too many breakdowns defensively. We seep back into drop coverage, given Boston some open looks. But yeah, guys, I feel your disappointment and frustration right now. Chris, salute. MG, what's good? Sandman, what's good? Ondios, what's good? Johnny, great to see you. AP in the house. All the diehards in the building. How are you feeling about the series? Do you feel like the Knicks can get their best and give us 1 or 2 more wins to make this make this go 7? I mean, the Knicks need to win 1 out of the next 3 to force a game 7. They can do it. Can they win 2 more? We're going to find out. But obviously, I feel like this is going to go 7 right now. Um, Ideally, winning the next one would be great, but it's hard to gauge, man. Off game one, game two, you have that focus, but you go down, but you come back. Boston weren't lazy tonight. I think they executed better, but they were sloppy still. There is some vulnerability still with this Boston squad. We just couldn't put together enough stops to make a run. And I've said it all year. The best way you make Boston feel the pressure is to get the scoreboard ticking up. Keep matching their buckets. Keep hitting shots. And then they sort of get complacent. But when you're turning it over and you're not able to capitalize on breakdowns and get points and get the scoreboard ticking up, then they're also going to feel more confident racing down the floor and getting transition baskets, you know. Um, I knew they were going to get the threes up. They're not going to abandon their strategy. The Knicks just weren't in their grill enough. They weren't making them feel the ball pressure as well. Um, Chris says, had a feeling Celtics would win game three. Knicks always play better on the road. Got to agree, man. It's just disappointing. We didn't come out with at least a half of energy and really put it to Boston. I mean, I would have bet my house that this game was tight heading into the half. And that's how disappointed I am right now because the squad was just lackadaisical. I know a lot of people are going to talk about, the 3:30 tip. Was that a factor, early game? Really, we had 2 days break. So I'm not using that as an excuse, man. We had 2 days break. M. Jean says, it should worry you that every game at some point we've been behind by 20 after losing 4 straight previously. Yeah, I feel like there's so little margin for error. Any game can get out of hand either way, respecting the Knicks and their offense, but we just aren't executing. We're not executing to our strengths. Boston, obviously, in a series, the most desperate team usually comes out and wins a ball game, in a playoff series. That's just how it goes. It's back and forth. We're desperate. We need this win, and we come out and we get the win. Tonight, we played like we were up 2-0. We just didn't come out like we smell blood, and we didn't come out with the proper urgency to at least be physical. And yeah, whatever the final score was, that's it. But I'm more disappointed that it wasn't even a game at halftime. What about all the fans, all the people that have been waiting for this moment, this energy? Is it the minutes? Is that starting to catch up with the guys? Because that's a legit conversation, guys, for me. Because what do you need to come out with the energy? I mean, it's one of the most anticipated games in New York Knicks basketball for the last quarter century, and you come out lame, you come out tentative, you come out like a different team. And I feel like maybe the travel, the intensity of game two took a lot out of this team, and maybe they need a few more days to catch their legs. But yeah, we got to come with that energy in game four, man. And I feel like, yeah, it's do or die. We kind of need to be slapped. We need to be slapped around tonight to sort of wake up. The series is here to be won, and we've got to play like we do on the road. You know, um, I mean, how are you down 46-71, right, in one of the biggest games of the season? Um, just disappointing, man. Sandman Salute says the series could be the final nail in Tibbs' coffin. Thibodeau has coached a good series so far, but tonight was a big letdown. So yeah, we got to see how the rest of the series plays out, man. I can't go out this way, man. We got to go out swinging. And look, Boston. I mean, they would have had absolute hell from the media dealing with that for the 2 days. They would have had to hear all that noise, that they're done, their legacy is done, etc., etc. And I knew they were going to come out with the fight and the focus. Boston have been a great road team all season. That's been in our coverage talking about how good Boston are on the road and how good we are on the road. And I feel like this is a trend now across the NBA. I don't know what's up with the mindset of these dudes, these young players. Like what happened to home court advantage, fam? Are we tripping? Like, why is the road teams across the NBA playing better? What the heck is it, man? Do these players need to be slapped around before the game to actually wake up? Do they realize that the crowd is not going to play for them and get them to the dub, get them over the line? What the heck is it? Is it the coach not, you know, sensing the urgency? Um, our offense is bad when we're playing slow. We're not getting into sets early. We're not getting good shots. Brick, then it's running down the other end, trying to get a stop. In transition. We're still not getting Karl Anthony Towns easy looks. He got up a few more threes tonight, but it was kind of forced. This one he hit really early, which is basically our first major bucket of the game. And he had to pull the trigger early. And I feel like, the Knicks needed to come out and really, be on the front foot. Waiting for a solid 48, says Johnny. Yeah, we're waiting for a solid game, kid. Like you said, 48. I'm waiting for a good start. Agent says, salute, this was disgraceful. 100%. Cardiac says, Knicks should play all their games on the road. They should. But it's disappointing to hear that because, how can you not feed off the crowd, the energy? I mean, that's what we're here for, man. We're rooting. We're pushing this squad forward. I was proud the crowd was really helping Mitch, trying to, give Mitch that, keep his head up, get the free throw up. I mean, we're going to talk about it in the offseason more, but Mitchell Robinson still not able to split free throws is just one of the reasons why he's not, looked around the league as a real force. It's unfortunate. We know how great Mitchie is, but I mean, this is his 7th year in the league. Like, he's worse. He's actually worse at the free throw line than what he was in his first few years in the league, and that's disgraceful. We've got to call it like we see it. You got to be able to split free throws, and then none of this hacker Mitch would ever exist. Guys, it would not exist if he could split free throws. But that's one thing. Obviously, that's not the reason for the loss. It's just disappointing. But yeah, guys, defensively, I think it was a big drop off. It was a big letdown. Sometimes shots don't go down. I still didn't like our offense, but the biggest drop off for me was from game 2 to game 3 was our defense, our defensive energy, our pressure. We made them feel more pressure, on the road. And look, Boston can get into a funk back at TD Garden, and maybe we have to go back to TD Garden 2-2 for Boston to then feel some pressure again. Although something tells me if they get game 4, they're just going to run away with it. But math is still on our side. We need to win 1 out of the next 3, and we will force a game 7. And then, look, anything goes. Game 7, you sell out, and it's all on the line for a game 7. But you got to win 1 out of the next 3. But yeah, winning the next one would be ideal because we play better on the road. And if we can win game 4, hopefully back at night, Monday night tip, I think it's 7 p.m., 8 p.m. tip. The Knicks and the crowd, the energy, hopefully at least push Boston further, just get it to clutch time, that's the disappointment from today. I hate that it wasn't a night game. It would have given us a few more hours for the players, but I mean, they had 2 days rest, but the energy just wasn't the same, man. I don't know if it was coming through on ABC. It wasn't coming through like there was energy. Jay Supreme says a bad performance across the board. They must address the lack of shooting in the offseason, man. 100%, man, Jay. I feel like Bridges, good getting to his spot, mid-range. I feel like Hart was hitting shots, in game 2. but we were getting stops. We're running out on the break. Our offense is fueled by our defense at the moment. If we're not getting stops, we're having to kind of walk the ball up the court. JB slow getting up the court. He's not even getting pressed like he was against Detroit by Osar Thompson, man. Maybe you got to play JB off the ball a little bit in Game 4. Get Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, bringing it up with some tempo. Get some dual point guard lineups. Maybe with Deuce McBride. Maybe we do have to shelve Hart's minutes a little bit. We need to play with more speed. That's the best way to get Boston, back on their heels. Yeah, we got Bill Daughtry, man, coming through tomorrow night. Join us tomorrow night. We'll be live, 8 p.m. New York City radio sports talk legend Bill Daughtry, myself, yours truly. We'll be breaking this one down further. We'll be looking ahead mostly to see what these Knicks can do. But it's been disappointing all season at MSG, man. I feel sorry, man. I feel really bad for the people in the building. Although, I mean, if you got in the building tonight, you've obviously got some money. But the energy, the crowd, what was it, $1,000 to get into the building? I mean, there was just no energy tonight, man. 3:30 tip. We'll see, man. We'll see what this team looks like in Game 4, man. It might be looking like a series if we get run out of the gym in Game 4. I mean, they need to show energy. OG Anunoby had no energy tonight, man. That's my biggest worry. My biggest worry for the rest of the series is the way OG Anunoby looked. People are going to go, 2 points? What's going on? Well, you have to watch the game to see what's going on, man. Your eyes will tell you that OG Anunoby did not look the same. He emptied the clip, I think, in Game 2, man. It was a very taxing game. Michael C says both of these teams are better on the road. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know what's up with these young players now. Is it the pressure? Maybe it's the road team just lifting their intensity because their backs are to the wall. That could be something. But I would have felt like today, with all of the ups and downs of the season, that we would have said, okay, let's bring our A game. Right. We've been sloppy throughout the series. We're up 2-0. We're headed back to New York City. Let's come out with fire, man. Let's come out. Let's give the crowd a show. No, none of that, man. Once again, just like Game 5 against Detroit. I mean, I can't solve the mystery right now, man. It's a mystery that no one can crack right now. It was all there, man. I was hyped. Patrick Ewing in the house, former Knicks once again, just like Legends Night, man. They laid another egg. And if I'm kind of trying to point some fingers, I'm going to look at the point guard. I think Jalen Brunson needs to be a lot better to start the game, and the rest of the squad defensively. Defensively, maybe it was the coach's instruction, but we abandoned the switching early. Too many drops, giving the open threes. They set a beautiful play for Al Horford. It was on the weak side. Sort of Tatum drew the attention. Towns sort of fell asleep, sort of dropped back a little bit, and Al Horford on the elbow just had a quick pull the trigger early 3 on the elbow. That was really early, and I felt like, man, you can't be letting that happen, man. Just disappointing, man. 007, what's good, fam? Great to see you. Tibbs should lock them up in a hotel away from anyone. Bill Parcells did that to the Giants. Maybe these guys, need to have dinner tomorrow night together, stick together. But yeah, I really feel like they slept in silk sheets last night, man. They've got to get away. They've got to get in the streets, stay away from the silk sheets. Because tonight they played like, their partners, gave them some loving last night. And they slept in silk sheets, and they felt too comfortable, man. Man, they've got to get back to that gritty mentality. Us against the world, backs to the wall, us against Boston. basically today, man, it was crazy. They didn't come ready to play across the board. Um, I knew from the first possession, man. First possession, I'm like, man, 5 seconds. Brunson's just kind of standing there waiting for something to happen. It's like, man, it's disappointing, man. Elliot, what's good? Great to see you. Um, Michael says Boston is an abnormally good road team. Also, perhaps that was a part of the value on the price. Yeah. Jay says poor defense. Gave up 70 in the first. Lack of adjustments again from Tibbs. Everyone was just bad. We got to see a little bit of Precious, and I think the Hacker Mitch played a part in that. And you have to give some credit to Boston. I ain't ducking that. They had 2 days to look at some tape. They were a bit more patient, sort of waiting for the mismatch and for the Knicks to sort of get confused. And that's where we dropped off. You look at game two, guys. We had two of the best wings. OG McHale holding teams to 96.6 defensive rating. Today was a steep drop off, man. It was crazy defensively. Missed assignments and the drop coverage. So we got to get back to what we were doing on the road. Can we do it? Maybe this was the slap, the wake up that we needed, right? You don't want to relinquish a 2-0 lead. Not to say that we can't win the series still, but you're just making it more difficult, man. Maybe Boston start to feel better about themselves, and maybe we can come out, hopefully, punch first back in game four, man. It's at night. I think there'll be more diehards in the building. Not to throw any shade at anybody in the building tonight. Let us know if you were in the building or if you know somebody, but it just didn't feel right, man. I know the national broadcast does kind of, it does filter the volume out there, but I feel like it just wasn't as loud as I felt it would be. Agent says Brunson was just looking at Pritchard and never moved to defend him. Yeah, I feel like they didn't have the energy, and that's concerning because if it's such a big game and they don't have that energy, that tells me that they are maybe running on fumes right now, man. Maybe games 1 and 2 took a lot more out of this squad. I mean, it was a heroic comeback. Maybe obviously that is tough, coming down 20 twice. That's going to take a lot out of you. And right now, we give one back just like that. Boston's going to feel a lot more confident. I don't think they're going to switch up anything. They're going to come out game 4 and try to get threes up early. And we have to hopefully, make them miss or, make them feel our pressure. Johnny says Knicks did not play aggressive team ball on both sides. OG was invisible on offense. Wingstop needs inclusion. Yeah, we weren't playing at a good enough pace, but also we're picking the ball out of the net, every single time. If you guys watch Indiana, the moment the other team makes a bucket on Indiana, the guy, whoever on Indiana is inbounding, they race to get the ball and they push it. They throw the ball in bounds straight up the court immediately, and they get going up the other end. The Knicks literally just stand around like, who's going to throw the ball in? They let the defense set, and then they roll the ball up the court. Man, it's not viable when you're constantly giving up buckets. You have to press back, push back, and try to get them back on their heels. Boston are vulnerable. Like I don't feel any different after I feel about game 2. This team can be beaten, but the blueprint to beat a Boston side is to get scoreboard pressure on them, keep trading bucket for bucket, and then they start to get complacent. They'll get lazy. They'll jack threes, and you can hopefully get stops and get out and run. If you're constantly just giving up buckets, you got no hope. You got no chance, man. They're one of the best offenses in the league. They shoot 50% from distance in this one. I thought Cam Payne showed some fight early when he first came in, his first stint. He was running with some pace with Deuce, but the starters just didn't have it as well. Jay says Tibbs' refusal to play Shamit is maddening. If Mitch can't hit free throws, Tibbs needs to try Huck. Use your damn bench. I think we're up 2-0. I don't know if he was going to abandon the plan, but so far we'll see if there's an adjustment coming. Mitch is really frustrating right now to not be able to split free throws. It's tough. JI says, I thought this would happen. Charles Barkley was on the Phoenix team that started 2-0 and ended up losing the series. He said he really felt it was important that the Knicks win game 3, and now anything can happen. Yeah, I felt like the first quarter would tell me a lot. I wasn't down on how we would play tonight. I was more like, okay, we have a chance. We have to come out and really make it a game at halftime. And then if it gets to clutch time, we have the closer. Yeah, we didn't even let it get to that. Our first half was just atrocious. But it's a series, and that's why we play the games. You can just never know. I know everyone wants to keep looking back at history to say this is going to happen or this could happen. I really feel like these guys can write the history. They can make this series whatever they want. They didn't go into Boston and win 2 games by accident. They won it from grit, from defense, from focus, physicality, pressure. None of that was existent today. They played like they were feeling themselves. Hart had his Uber Eats ordered, ready to go after the buzzer. Mikal Bridges played like he slept in silk sheets last night. He forgot about the grit from the other night. OG Anunoby was tired or non-existent. He was, he was a shell of himself. And Cat and Brunson were, they gave us the effort, but execution was poor. The Knicks were actually making that run. I think we cut it to 17. We're coming down the end, maybe, forcing it to 14, splash a 3, and Brunson turned the ball over, man. Dribbled the ball off his toe. The old foot trick, in the words of Clyde, man. We just couldn't put together a run, man. But look, Boston played physical tonight. They forced the issue. I think they got a good game from Derek White. And Derek White's been down most of the series, and he answered the call. Jaylen Brown had one of his best games on the series, and obviously Jason Tatum led them to the victory, and I think Al Horford probably had his best game of the series. So I had the Knicks winning the matchup battles heading into tonight, into today. But if I bring that up right now, I think it's really swung, fam. I've updated the graphic. Before this game, I had OG winning that matchup as more impactful. I had Brunson winning his matchup. I had Josh Hart more impactful. And Deuce McBride was winning the Peyton Pritchard matchup. But after today, after game 3, it's no longer now. Deuce McBride, Peyton Pritchard, that's a split. Peyton Pritchard got the best of Deuce today. Mitchell Robinson, no longer winning that matchup right now. Kristaps played a better game tonight. That's even. Josh Hart and Al Horford. Hart was winning that matchup before today. That's even now. How Horford answered the call. Cat and Tatum. Before tonight, that was a split. Jason Tatum is winning that matchup right now. OG and Jaylen Brown. It's a split right now. Before today, OG was winning that matchup. So you see how the trend, we give it all back, man. We gave it back up. Elliot says, I think the Celtics may have emptied the tank trying to win this game. Let's hope, man. I felt like Kristaps gave them a little bit more, but, he wasn't great. But definitely Horford. Hopefully he tires out, man. Jimmy says, biggest loser were the paying fans. Yeah, 100%. You could kind of see this happening. I didn't predict that it would happen, but I could see it happening in terms of Game 5 against Detroit. Another letdown. And again, I just think this team gets too comfortable, man. Tibbs needs to shake things up. Do something, man. Lock these guys in a hotel. Whatever it is. They get comfortable back in the city. 2 days, they get their massage, they get their partner in, they get their silk sheets, and then they just come out pathetic. I mean, they could have made a statement around the league tonight. At least make it more difficult for Boston. I mean, let's be honest, we didn't make it difficult for them. And so what? Now they're going to wake up? Like now they realize there's an opportunity that they could have gone up 3-0. Maybe that is on Tibbs. Maybe he should have realized, hey, I need to inject a little bit of energy. Let's give Precious a go. Let's give Shamet, DeLon Wright a go. But no, I think he continues with the seven-man rotation, 7.5. And I think these guys are probably going to gas out, man. I think if we force it to a game 7, I think it's obviously, we'll have a chance. But ideally, we don't want it to go 7, man. You want to win game 4, and then you get 2 closeout games, one in game 5 in Boston, and you get a closeout game back at MSG for game 6. And that's what's at stake in game 4. You empty the clip in game 4, man, and you ensure that it goes 7, but you give yourself 2 elimination games before that happens. 007 Angelo says, I love Mitchie, but he needs to practice those free throws. Man, you said it. It's so predictable because we could have seen this happening, man, before the playoffs began. And I'm like, what's it going to take for Mitchie to hit a few free throws? I mean, the guy was shooting threes back at in Chalmette. Chalmette High School, man. He was hitting threes. Now he can't hit free throws. It just, his form is all off, man. And Mark Berman told us, I spoke to Mark Berman yesterday. You guys checked out the show. Check it out if you haven't. But even over the years, talking to Mark Berman, he confirmed the Knicks don't have a shooting coach. Like the franchise doesn't employ a specific shooting coach. Maybe the players have their own, guys that work them out. But we kind of feel like there's a gap. Maybe there's a spot that someone needs to come in because how does the team not have a shooting coach? How does Rick Brunson or Patrick Ewing or Larry Johnson, Carmelo Anthony, how does somebody, all these Knicks on the payroll for James Dolan, how does somebody not get with Mitch, and get in the gym and hit a few free throws, man? AP, I got my number 9, Rick Brunson, on game 4. Let's go. Maybe for some good luck. Let's get it. Appreciate you, man. Let's keep the optimism. I feel like these guys always bounce back. I just feel like game 4 is a flip of a coin, man. It's probably going to be another tight game. If the Knicks can come out with energy and maybe the pressure can get to Boston. Now that the Boston have got on the board, we'll see. They are a championship level squad. They do have that mindset that they can break the Knicks down. The Knicks were just playing too scared today. Jay says, and our offense was so archaic and predictable. If you can't match their scoring, you can't win against this team. I feel like, there's fine margins for error. There are, sequences where you have to execute. You can't turn it over, especially when you're trying to make a run. Games can flip. Who knows what would have happened? We got it down to 17, right? Brunson coming down the floor. Let's say we get an and 1. We get a bucket. We get a 3. We cut it to 15 or 14. Crowd goes crazy. Then your comeback is on. But today we just couldn't execute. And Brunson turned it over in that one, man, with the old foot trick. AP says, I think the Celtics are just getting started. What we did was more a fluke than I'm convinced of that right now. I don't think it was any fluke. I just feel like we can control the controllables, and today we didn't, which is defense, fam. Yeah, maybe you can say missing as many threes that Boston missed was fluky, 25 of 100. But the Knicks' pressure kind of, forced that. The Knicks' defense was better. The Knicks' defense wasn't great tonight. And so maybe we can make Boston shoot 36%, instead of 50. If you look at the stats tonight, guys, I mean, we needed to force Boston to shoot 40% or less to give ourselves a chance. Um, I didn't even need to see the game. If you just told me that Boston shoot 50% from three, I would have said, yeah, we lose. It's a wrap. It's literally the one stat that will determine the game. Basically, because they're going to shoot volume. Boston are going to shoot with high volume, and the Knicks need to make them tough looks. Tatum had 9 rebounds. Pritchard with 23 points. I mean, what's that, man? What's that? There's no energy tonight, man. No dogs. Where were our dogs at? Deuce McBride, man, slept in silk sheets last night, man. These guys were feeling themselves once again, up 2-0. They should have realized they haven't played a complete game yet, and they come out and actually play their worst game. I think that's the most maddening thing, guys, right now. Let's rank the 3 games. I think the Knicks played better in game 1. I think then game 2 will rank second. And today, game 3 will rank third. And considering we're up 2-0, headed back in front of our crowd and the energy in the city, to play worse than the first 2 games is inexcusable, right? It don't matter what happens for the rest of the series. We'll look back at this and definitely say that it's inexcusable because, I heard Kat after the game 2, on the podium, he was saying, look, we know we haven't played great. We don't want to give them 20-point lead. And we know we haven't played well and we haven't executed. We need to do that. And what did they do? That today they played worse, man. It's just crap, man. D Bucket says Shamet needs to play more. We need him to open up the floor with some spacing, run the Celtics off the line next game, and can we please run efficient offense instead of waiting for the shot clock to end? Preaching, man. Preaching to the choir. Appreciate the comment. Yeah, Shamet. I just think Shamet's effective if we do play with speed off the bench. Campaign is needed, I think. Campaign plays well at MSG. He's one of the players that does give us that spark, fam. But I mean, the crowd was asleep tonight, man. I don't know if it was the ABC feed, but you just didn't hear the energy, the volume. The crowd were like zombies in there tonight, man. I mean, I guess what can I expect? People paid $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 to get into the building. $330 tip. I mean, everyone's looking forward to just getting the game over with and heading out to dinner in the city. Look, it is what it is. We're up 2-1. I mean, you would have taken this in a heartbeat. We have one more game to capitalize on our lead. If we blow game 4, it'll be very disappointing, but I guess it'll determine how the game goes. If it's a close sort of scrap and the Knicks maybe lose at the end, that'll give us hope. That'll give us hope that we still can execute and win another 2. Hopefully 1 in Boston, games 5. But if we get blown out again in game 4, I think the series will probably be over in 6. But yeah, we have 3 chances to get 1 more and just force a game 7. You never know. Anything can happen in a game 7 with all the marbles on the line. We need to win 1 more out of the next 3. And look, obviously, in terms of the next 3, 2 of them are at MSG, right? We have game 4 at MSG, game 5 on the road, and then game 6 is back at MSG. So we will have a chance to stave off elimination. Even if the Knicks lose the next 2 and we go down 2-3, we will have another chance to stave off elimination at MSG. So this series is far from over, man, but it's definitely going to go the distance. And thankfully, Cleveland kind of got one on the board to make that series go a bit further because, yeah, if Indiana won game 3, then Indiana were going to end that series early. But look, that series looks like it's going to go long. I think this is going to go 6 or 7. How are you guys feeling, man? Give us your predictions right now. 007 Angelo says, CT, I thought the NBA made up a rule to stop the targeted hacking of one player. Yeah, there's a loophole right now, fam, and that is that with under 2 to play, you can hack the player still as long as they're involved in the play, which is basically if Mitch is setting a screen, then the players are still free to hack him. If he's over on the weak side, they can't hack him. If it's off the ball, they can't. If he's setting a screen and he's involved in the action, they can still hack. It's sad, man. It's sad that it came down to this, but I mean, something for Mitch to learn from. You know, this is his first major playoff run. He's been such a impactful guy as Mitchie, and definitely in the off season, he needs to come back. He needs to come back better. He needs to come back better in the next game, fam. But something tells me that he's not going to change things up. I hope he does. You know, go to the backboard, man. Go to the underarm. I'm all for trying. Buzzer beater, CT. I think you and I said it would be a 4-1 series. A 4-1 series. I said 6. I said 6, fam. So yeah, you went 4. And that's understandable. You know, the Knicks didn't have success against Boston, in the regular season. But we definitely played our 2 best defensive games in game 1 and game 2. And I can live with losing if we bring our best game. You know, we put our best foot forward. That's all I want to see. You know, we still got to make some moves in the off season, but I want us to go down or up in this series, playing our best. Defensively, we played like punks tonight. You know, you had all the legends in the building, man. Where was the grit? Where was the fight, man? Where was the hard fouls? You know, even that one where Jalen Brunson let Jason Tatum go for the uncontested and one, basically just didn't even lock him up. I mean, you know, this team is definitely not soft, but they're weak. You know, they're weak at MSG throughout the season. I don't know what it is on the road. They just look like a different team, man. I think they just get together. I think the focus is there, fam. David says Knicks will take game 4 and 6 to win this. Salute. I got the screenshot. I got the receipt. Hopefully you're right, fam. Let's get it. David M. Knicks will take game 4 and 6 to win this. Yep. Hopefully we can make another key adjustment. What would be my key adjustments? We'll talk more about it tomorrow night with Bill Daughtry, 8 p.m. Join us live. But right now, I'm feeling like the Knicks just need to play with more speed. You know, it's a different game at home that it is on the road. You know, on the road you need to slow it down. You know, keep the crowd out of it. Take control of the basketball. Protect the basketball like it's a family jewel. You know, and ride the game. At home, it's a different game. You need to get the road team, flustered. You need to get the road team sweating. You need to get the crowd into it. You need to play fast, like you guys saying in the chat. You can't be waiting for the shot clock to be down to 4 and everyone's standing around like a clown, not knowing what to do. Nobody's cutting. Nobody's setting double screen action to get somebody downhill. Nobody's flashing to the foul line extended. Walking the ball up the court as well. It's been our kryptonite all season. AP says I wouldn't count on games at MSG from what I've seen so far. Yep. That's real. 100%, man. You're just keeping it real. I agree. We need to show something different. Um, Boston's killed us at MSG. Outside of obviously the final regular season game, but that was kind of asterisks. You know, certain players weren't playing, but that was a close game. We need to bring that level of energy early, get the crowd into it. You see, Boston took the crowd out, and I felt like 3:30 tip. It just wasn't as strong as it would have been had it been late. But I mean, a lot of wealth in the building. They just weren't up for it, man. Nobody's standing up. It was crazy in this one. But look, we did it against Detroit. Maybe we just need to do it again on the road, fam, and bring that grit. Maybe Boston get 2-2 up. They start feeling themselves again, and maybe they let go of the rope. Wouldn't that be crazy? A crazy situation with Boston maybe winning both on the road, just like the Knicks, and then the Knicks go back into the TD Garden and win again, and have a closeout elimination game coming back to MSG for Game 6. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked. But if Boston do if Boston do level at 2-2, then I think they'll definitely be going back to Boston with a lot more energy, a lot more focus. And look, as the series goes along, man, maybe our guys are just going to be a lot more gassed. Um, I'm worried about OG, man. He just didn't look like the same level OG. D Bucket says we need to win Game 4 to have a realistic shot of winning the series. Yeah, our best shot, I agree with you. I feel like our best shot to win the series is now winning Game 4. You don't want the series going too long. But as I said, the math is still on our side. We have a chance to win 1 out of the next 3 to force a Game 7. And if I told you that this series is going to go to a Game 7 against Boston, I mean, I don't know if you could have asked for anything more than that. Boston have been the better team throughout the season. It's just disappointing we're not capitalizing. But a part of the truth is there. We were down 20 in Game 1. We were down 20 in Game 2. Tonight we were down 20 again. So if you're definitely if you're Vegas, if you're being real, Boston so far deserve to win the series based on what we've seen. We might be up 2-1, but after today, you could say Boston probably deserve to win the series because we haven't played a good game, a complete game, in 3 games now, and we've managed to be up 2-1. We've closed 2 games out better. Today we didn't give ourselves a chance, to still be in the game. As Larson Senior says, salute, Knicks laid an egg. So disappointing, and Knicks look soft today. Yeah, they weren't ready. It was a very unprofessional performance. Boston, there's a reason Boston just seep into the threes, because if you give them the open look, they don't want physicality. They don't want to take it to the rack. They just want to shoot threes, man. We let them, we let them shoot the threes. We played stiff, we played tight. It's the same way we played against Detroit, This isn't a Knicks Boston thing that we saw today. This is all in Knicks. This is all about the Knicks today. I'm making today more about the Knicks because they're in their own heads. This is a trend, right? If it happened once, fool them. If it happens twice, then shame on us, because it's a case of, Detroit Game 5, we had a chance to close them out and we just didn't play well. Today, the same thing. Missing shots doesn't affect your effort. Look at the stats right now, guys. 3 steals in 48 minutes. Where is the pressing energy? Where was the intensity? How can you only have 3 steals in 48 minutes at home in the biggest game for a quarter century in your home floor. How do you only have 2 blocks for 48 minutes? They didn't bring the energy today. 16 assists as well. That's pathetic. 20% from 3 as well. That's pathetic. Once again, man, with the legends in the building, I tweeted this out, but it's time to admit MSG is just not a home crowd advantage anymore, fam. As I bring this up, right, this is a continuation from April 30. I tweeted this out. I tweeted this out. So going back 2 years to Philadelphia series, the Knicks lost the closeout game at MSG, and the Knicks lost 2 closeout opportunities at MSG against Detroit, fam, in just 2 years. So the Knicks have lost 3 closeout opportunities. I'm sorry, I need to correct myself. 2 last year. 2 the year before. We lost a closeout game to Indiana. Game 7, Indiana. This year, obviously it was the Detroit one, and then Philadelphia, going back 2 years ago. And then today, we lose another game at MSG. So we've lost basically 4 key games at MSG in just 2 years. It's time to consider that MSG is not being a home court advantage. At times, the crowd is lazy at best, and the players, man. The crowd is lazy as well. So the players are lazy. And Gerard commented, says the crowd isn't lazy. The crowd is astonished on how bad this team is coached and how awful the inconsistent players are. Pay all that money to watch garbage. Knicks lose in 7. So Tibbs can go. So that's frustration coming through right there. Lackadaisical. We just need to bring that fight. We bring that fight on the road. And MSG we have not. Fam. David says we're due for a win at MSG. 100% we are, But I feel like Brunson's already said, Hart said, they actually like playing on the road in a playoff environment because it gets them going. But I kind of feel like it's a question on their character to not thrive being at home as well, Because I'm like, what's up with the mindset? Now, I like that grit on the road. Yeah, it's great to perform on the road. That's a really admirable trait. That's an admirable character for anybody to perform under pressure in front of a hostile crowd. And that's something that very few players are able to do. But what the hell's wrong with you if you can't perform in front of your own crowd? Like that's unexplainable. That's something wrong with that, where you thrive as the underdog so much that when someone's ready to hand you a golden ticket, someone's about to give you a pathway to heaven, you turn it away. There's something wrong with that. Where you always want to do it the hard way. I just don't get it, man. It speaks to the character as well. We need some dogs up in here. Like Buzzer Beater says, man, timely comment. Says CT, can we get Dante back next season? I hope so. Fam. Either way, I know we're gonna make some upgrades. We're gonna make some moves, fam. And I feel like whether it's Dante or it's not Dante, we need a guy like him. We need a guy like him that's gonna inject some energy, inject some fight, inject some grit and some size, obviously, as well. I mean, one thing we have to acknowledge is that Deuce McBride, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, Cameron Payne, Tyler Kolek, they're all undersized. They're punching above their weight. Landry Shamet as well. Who else? DeLon Wright. A lot of these guys are undersized, and we're going up against team with size. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, they unleash their size, on the Knicks in this one. They're a bit more forceful. Um, Drew Holiday as well was a bit more physical, I think, with JB today. He was making it a bit more difficult to get the ball up the court. But yeah, I think it's a classic case of why we're sitting here, guys, 2-1. As I wrap up, and we talk about it again tomorrow night. Join us with Bill Daughtry. I really feel like we're looking at two teams that are front runners, unfortunately. And the definition of a front runner is, you want to take the easy way out. Like Boston, they just want to shoot threes. They get lazy. They get complacent. The New York Knicks as well. They take their foot off the gas. They lose their focus. When they need to show up in a big game, they don't show up. I mean, both of these teams, they're front runners, man. The opposite of a front runner would probably be Detroit, where they're constantly coming from behind. They're constantly scrapping. They're constantly trying to climb uphill. They're constantly trying to climb the mountain. And the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics just play with their food. And I feel like whoever's the most gritty team is going to win this series, right? Threes or not. Threes be deviled. Whatever percentage Boston shoot, I don't care. I feel like whoever wins this series is going to be a more gritty team. There is still one or two more wins in the Knicks if they get gritty enough, and they can get stops as well. And for Celtics to have to pull off 4 out of 5 wins, they're going to have to be extremely gritty as well, for them to do it. So yeah, it's a series now. Boston are on the board. The Knicks need to wake up. The Knicks need to come play their best game, I think, in game 4. If it goes to a game 4 and the Celtics blow us out, then I think it's probably going to be over in 6. If the Knicks win game 4, then there's a chance it could be over in 6, or definitely it's obviously going to go 7. And that's what something that I would have taken, headed into this series. A chance to beat Boston in 7. We'll see how it all plays out, guys. But yeah, appreciate you for joining us. Smash that like button. You've got the Knicks streets buzzing. The crowd in the building lacks some energy, but you guys brought the energy today. The block party, the watch party on the streets looked to be fun. And I think the Knicks need to give them a show, man. The Knicks owe everybody at home a show on Monday night, fam. Hopefully they can get some rest, watch some film, practice free throws, and execute and get at it. Because I think we got out-hustled today. 6 steals to 3 steals. The road team was more gritty. 8 blocks to 2 blocks. The road team was more gritty. 8 turnovers to our 11. The road team took care of the basketball. We did not. The Knicks won the rebounding today, which is crazy. But obviously there was a lot of garbage time. Boston missed a lot of threes as well. They hit good percentage, but they missed a lot of threes as well. They shot 88% from the field. They got more fast break points, fam. 10 more fast break points. We won the points in the paint. But there wasn't any post-ups with Karl-Anthony Towns as much. Not as much success as the Knicks had earlier. We'll see what plays out. There's a long time to talk about free agencies right now. I'm not entertaining free agencies. Appreciate the questions. But I just can't really wrap my head around talking about a free agent at the moment. We're fighting for our lives. I mean, we're up 2-1. with a chance to go deep in this one, man. And the Knicks are there, man. I'm not giving up on this series at all. The Knicks are still in a position where they should win this series, right? Some people might disagree. They might think it's crazy. But if you found a way to win 2 games, you can find a way to win 2 more. You know, the Knicks only need to win 2 out of the next 4, which is, excellent math, really. The Knicks only need to go 500 in the next 4 games just to win the damn series. But obviously, as each passing game goes by, you can't afford to give up that chance, man. Give up that golden ticket to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, man. These players will be killing themselves, in the off season if they don't take that opportunity and capitalize and at least put pressure on Boston in Game 4. At least make it close. Make it a close game. That's what we all want to see. Peace, everyone. Big up. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And let's talk tomorrow night. And obviously, we'll chop it up post-game as well on Monday night after Game 4, as the New York Knicks still hold on to a 2-1 lead, but a really disappointing performance and Boston's best performance of the series so far. We'll see what happens in the next one. Peace.